Hello, hello, hello. It's Rosemary Nonny here. How you doing? Let us look at some connections that people make with money. In fact, I used to make these connections with money myself. So we're going to talk about them and see how we can release you so you start to create success and wealth freely. Okay? So what do you think about money? Do you think it's evil? Do you think it's uncomfortable? Do you think it's wrong to want it? Do you feel kind of naughty inside to even consider getting it? Well, that will be why you struggle to be happy, to live in abundance, and to make as much money as you absolutely want to make. So let's just be clear about this now. The connections you make with money determine how much of it you have, okay? So you have to get a lot more deliberate about what's going on in your mind because you ultimately creating a good or a bad situation, whether you like it or not, based around what's going on in your head. But it's completely up to you, okay? Because I say this to you because I personally have been, uncovering some of those deeper connections inside of myself as I step up in my business, as I step up in my growth. And I want to allow even more wealth to keep flowing and flowing into my life. And so here are some of the connections that I made with money once upon a time. And I wonder if they resonate with you as well. So number one, money and love. Does money equal love to you? See, I was brought up in Africa, and somehow what I got from my childhood was that if someone loves you, then they give you money. And if they don't give you money, then they don't love you. Was it really what my parents and relatives wanted to teach me? No, I don't think so. But then, I don't really know. Maybe that's what they thought. I don't know. Is it just an African thing that there is such a connection, a strong connection between love and money? You tell me, what was it like in your family? What was it like for you growing up? You have to ask these questions, because if you don't, they keep playing out in the background in your subconscious, and they prevent you from feeling happy unless you have lots and lots and lots of money to give to people. If you're currently experiencing lack, then you will feel like you cannot be loved either. That's the thing, because you don't have the money to give anybody. So then you feel like you don't deserve love because, again, you don't have money to give them to show them that you love them. And so because you don't feel you deserve it, then you won't allow yourself to create money. And so it becomes a horrible cycle where you stay in lack because you don't have money to give people. So you feel guilty that you don't love them. And so you feel like you don't deserve money, and so on and so forth. But what if you do have money, but then because you've connected love and money together, you're not generous anymore because you don't want to feel like you have to pay to get love. Do you? Nobody wants to feel that way. So therefore, because you've connected it in your mind, so then you hold back. But then you feel guilty that you're holding back and not helping anybody else. And so then, again, you feel guilty. You don't feel like you deserve to keep wealth. Next thing you know, the wealth is gone. Or it just feels really stuck and it's not growing. It's just all with you. And you don't feel good about it anyway. And so then it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy that, yes, you obviously must be bad not to be able to be generous with your money. But it's because of the connection you've made in your brain about what money means. Money does not equal love, okay? You can be a blessing to others, but that has nothing to do with whether you love them or anything like that, okay? So we need to separate money and love in your mind. Number two, money does not equal control, okay? This was another relic from my youth. Did you have uncles and aunties? They give you money and then they kind of expect you to perform for them, to obey them, because that they had showed you that they loved you by giving you the money. So now they feel like they have the control over you to do whatever. At least that's the way it felt, okay? That's not necessarily what they were trying to do. I'm not saying that. I am saying sometimes your perception of what was going on is completely different from what is really going on. But it doesn't matter in some ways, because it is what your perception meant to you that is still affecting you right now. Okay? It might have felt as though they were storing up goodwill with you so that they could use it at a later date to get you to do things for them. Okay? And maybe some people did even throw it in your face directly by saying things like, after all I've done for you, how could you? And then they say things like, oh, and you call yourself a Christian and you're not doing this for me. And really, it's all part of that whole manipulation and control all around money, because they want money from you or something along those lines. And so you just continually felt manipulated to do things because you felt you owed them something. They'd given you money once upon a time, and so now they got to make you do anything they wanted. And even if you did give in to all the nonsense, or even if you didn't give in to the nonsense, which, that was me, I just kind of said no, but then you feel guilty all the time. And again, that will prevent you from being happy and stop you giving yourself permission to get wildly wealthy. Okay, because the money is coming with far too much emotional tension. You just think it's making you manipulate, making people manipulate you, so you kind of hold yourself back from it in case you become a manipulator yourself. And so, yeah, because you don't want to manipulate others or be manipulated, you hold back from doing what needs to be done to create wealth because it just seems to come with too much tension and it's just easier not to have it, okay? And yet again, money itself is completely inanimate. It has no meaning except the one that you give it. Again, it's time for you to set yourself free. Number 3, money does not equal a lack of safety. This is another one of those things that kind of played out in the back of my mind for a very long time, that if I got too much money, then somebody was going to come and take it away from me by force. And the truth is, we did have armed robbers come into our house and kill a few people, beat my mom up and all of that stuff. And so that came with a feeling of anytime we get, even if we look as though we have some money, that was when I was growing up, then people will come and try and take it from us by force. And so that made me feel very unsafe. So money seemed to bring with it a sense of exposure. If people thought that I was rich, they would harm me in order to get it. And so therefore I was not going to get it, and then I would be safe. Of course, it makes sense, right? I mean, even relatives used to try and steal from me in my childhood because we were considered to be a little bit wealthier than all the rest of our family, even though my dad actually had an accident that left him paralyzed from his neck down and completely out of work. So that was the thing. I felt so exposed growing up, and all because we appeared to have a little bit of money. Nowhere at home felt safe. And so in my little mind, while I was younger, it was all connected to money. Okay, so I still remember actually preferring to be away from home at university because who knew what would happen if I was at home in the night? Would armed robbers come again? Would I be exposed to danger again? Would some crazy relative decide they're going to come and steal something from me again? So it was easier to be away from home, and it was all connected to money. And so that story kept playing out in my mind. And so as I'm building my business, you kind of hit a level where you don't really want to go further because, oh my God, you might be exposed and you'll be unsafe. And I realized that this stuff was working out in my brain, which then made me do something about it, okay? Same with you. What are you associating with money? Do you feel unsafe if you make lots of money? Will people try and sue you? Will people take you to court because you suddenly have lots of money? Or will the tax man come and get you? Because if you have those thoughts playing in the back of your mind, or actually another one that people have, particularly in the UK, will you lose your benefits? And so then you feel like, oh, but I'm not safe without those. And so then you don't allow yourself to do the work that will actually create wealth for you. Think about the connections you're making. Okay, number 4, money doesn't equal being a bad person. Now, this is a pretty obvious one, but maybe not to you. So let's just talk about it very quickly. You see, I was brought up actually to despise anyone that seemed to get rich too quickly, particularly if they were in some way like a pastor or a spiritual person. It was kind of assumed that they'd done something wrong, okay? Something despicable, and so therefore they were to be judged. And the truth is, if you make a judgment against somebody else, you're automatically judging yourself as well. So if you make a judgment that rich people have had to do something bad to get it, you will never allow yourself to be rich, because that would mean that you had to do something bad to get it. So of course you will not ever let yourself do that. And then the media is so great at helping us reinforce these crazy beliefs inside of our heads. And then we wonder why we stay trapped in lack. And again, it's not even about the amount of money you're making now. It's about that sense of, is it abundant, or is it like, oh my God, there's too much months before the end of the money? And you might have more money than most of the people you know, but there's still this stuff going on inside of you. Okay. So this isn't about not having any money at all. It's about having money, but still not even. It's both. You might have no money at all, or you might have some money, more money than most of the people you know, and you still feel this sense of lack because there are these weird connections that you've made with money. Okay? So number 5, the final one, is that money doesn't equal being a good person. So yes, you might have made the judgment about being bad, and so then you try so hard to be absolutely good, to do the right thing, to work hard enough, to obey the words in the good book, in the Bible, or whatever your good book is. And the truth again is that money has nothing to do with any of that. There's so many good people working their socks off and getting absolutely nowhere. And instead of paying attention to the game that is money, they get resentful, they get angry that they've given and given and given of themselves, and still they have nothing to show for it. But But it's like, open your eyes, honeys. Take off the blinders. That's not the way that things work, you know? You can be as good as you like, but unless you learn how to make money, unless you increase your value to the marketplace in a way that the marketplace likes, you'll remain broke forever. And you can beg and plead with the heavens all you like about it, but you're not playing the game, okay? And as you're not playing the game, you will not get wealthy. So it doesn't matter how good you're being. There's lots of good poor people. There's lots of bad rich people. There's lots of bad good people. Oh, no. There's lots of bad poor people. There's lots of bad rich people. Yeah, ultimately, I hope you understand what I mean, that it just has nothing to do with your morals in some ways. If you play the game, you get the money, but you need to learn to play the game, because God ultimately has given you everything you need to create wealth, and it has nothing to do, as I've already said, with whether you're good enough or not. You kind of already know that, because you already see people who you consider wrong, and they're making money in ways that you are not, and it's annoying. Ultimately, they're following the way. They learned the rules of the game. And so they're playing the game. You too have to play the game. And I know it might sound a little bit harsh, but I fell for this too. I fell for this whole thing. I'm going to be really good and then God is going to bless me. The truth is, God has already blessed us all. We just need to actually do something with the blessing, okay? So I got deliberate and I opened my eyes to reality. And, you know, all the 5 things that I've mentioned up here, I started to really kind of to get rid of those things from inside of me and distance money from any of that stuff, because money itself has no meaning. I have to say that again, okay? Now, this has gone on very long. But anyway, sometimes just for you to understand and see some of these lies that you've believed, that could be enough for you to be free from them, okay? But a lot of the time, it's not enough. For me, I know I had to work with a coach just to kind of get myself free, and I continually work with a coach to make sure I'm always managing some of these crazy things going on inside of my head and always staying in action, in which case you might need something like that. And if that is you and you're thinking, you know what, yeah, I could do with a little bit of support to kind of get rid of some of the crazies going on in my head, as well as put in strategies, plans to actually work with money so that you actually make some, then if that's you, then let's work together, you and I. Let's have a conversation at least, okay? Because we could have a 1-day Wealth Accelerator VIP intensive, just me and you, wherever you are in the world, we can do this together, where we will handle your crazy beliefs and mindset issues. And just please, when I say crazy beliefs, understand that we all have them, okay? And we will reinvent your money. So we will look at putting a plan, a sales, marketing, mindset plan together to make sure that you're taking the right actions to play the game of money and to make money for you and for yours. If you are interested in finding out more about that, then just send me a private message on Facebook. So I'm Rosemary Nonny Knight. So pop over to my Facebook page, which is Rosemary Nonny Knight, and send me through a message, and I'll be in touch. Send me through a message with your telephone number, and I will be in touch, and we will have a quick conversation and see if what I've just mentioned is appropriate for you, or if there's something else that we can do together to actually accelerate the amount of wealth that you are creating. Okay, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. It is time to fight to create the life, the business you want. Have an awesome, awesome day. Bye.